What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt. Follow me on Twitter at Conradicalness. Joined alongside, as always, by Mike Wallace. Mike, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. Now that I can see the actual streets and the ice and the snow is out of here.
Can you see it?
Yeah, you can
it's
see
kind of foggy.
now.
I can't see them.
That's true.
I
That's
can't
the
see
other
them
thing.
through the fog.
That's the other thing. The mist and the fog. Yeah.
I did make it down to the river yesterday and seeing, I guess, fog, steam, I don't know what it was, rising over the Mississippi, just a giant cloud on top of the river.
Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember when I lived down there, I used to see that all the time, man. It was the wonders of nature. I tell you, man, wonders of nature. But we're here, and we're ready for a great show, man, as always. So looking forward to another opportunity to share HBCU Huddle and what we do.
Wonders of nature and wonders of HBCU sports and culture right here on HBCU Huddle. Got a great show, as always, lined up. We will talk some about coaching searches. We will talk some about a new offensive coordinator at Tennessee State. We've got Hugh Jackson and Morehouse flirting real heavily with one another. Got a great culture maker for you. We brought back the Pick Six this week with the SWAC announcing their schedule, their conference schedule.
Yep.
So we'll talk some about that and so much more. Let's start, though, with the FAMU coaching search. We spent a lot of time.
Hire. Somebody hired?
Is somebody hired?
Yeah, I'm asking.
No.
Is somebody hired?
I don't think so.
Oh, man. Another one lingering.
Yeah, well, we spent so much time on Texas Southern.
I know.
Because that was so wild that they would do that to Fred McNair that we on this show kind of forgot that FAMU was also in need of a coach.
Yeah.
The difference in the two, where I give FAMU a bit of a pass, is Texas Southern knew in November. FAMU found out after, like, a week or two after the Celebration Bowl.
Yeah.
A
whole month later.
Yeah,
right.
A whole month later. So that's going to take some time to get ducks in a row. You got different factions. Well, it doesn't even feel like factions at FAMU. It feels like it's the alumni and the boosters versus, for lack of a better phrase, athletic director, president. They've gone to a search firm. Renaissance Search and Consulting is the search firm to try and find a candidate. And so here's what they've done. This was announced earlier this week. They got 45 applicants in. They got 5 candidates remaining. Numbers 14, 16, 18, 34, and 45. All right, those are the candidates remaining. 4 of those candidates have won SWAC championships in their career.
So 4 out of the 5.
2 of those candidates were recommended by both the search firm and the committee. That's candidates 14 and 16. All right.
Hold on. Let me make sure I'm understanding. The committee is boosters, basically, right?
The committee is comprised of a couple of boosters. I think
a player. Riley is a player.
Student,
Okay, I got you.
President. Like, that's the committee.
How many people you need to make this decision, though, man?
Get it right. I don't care. Just get it right. It can't just be athletic director, president. When you asked the boosters, you asked the fan base to, hey, help us come up with $60,000 to keep Willie Simmons here. What was the amount that they asked?
At first it was 25, and it grew to 100. Right. It ended up being 100.
They asked for 25,000, and those people gave over 100,000.
Right.
Like that's the type of power and affluence money can buy you when the time comes to make these types of decisions. If you're going to ask for money to be given, and all programs need money to be given, you probably want to listen some to what the people who have the money and are donating to your program are saying. Don't you? Because that's the way it works everywhere else.
I mean, it's to a certain degree, right? To a certain degree.
High-level football, that's the way it works.
Well, I mean, again, to a certain degree, because it's easier for money backers to fire you.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're necessarily qualified to hire you.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like now, and I'm looking at it from Texas A&M situation.
Right.
Like the money backers said, all right, Jimbo,
yes,
you're done. Like whatever check I got to stroke to get you out of here, we're going to get 2-3 people together and stroke this check and get you out of here. I don't know if I want to go to that same group to say, hey, who do you want as coach? Because how many people have they looked at? Right. Like at a certain point, and I'm saying this, CJ, because I might be a little bit sensitive to it because we just on the other side of what we do at Grind City Media, we talk basketball. We cover basketball. We just saw the Milwaukee Bucks fire Adrian Griffin after going 30-13 because of dissension among who wanted him, who didn't want him in the front office, and then the relationships that he built or didn't build with the star players. At some point, you have, what do they say? What are the old sayings? We go back to these old sayings. Too many chefs in the kitchen. And that's what happened at Texas Southern. There were too many chefs in the kitchen. At least what the difference you said, and we'll go back to, so you can finish your point there. Another difference is that FAMU is at least putting their stuff out in the streets.
That's big.
So you can see it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm more informed, or it almost is like, okay, you're naming candidates based on numbers. Like, why are we doing that?
Blind resume.
I get that, but why do I okay, so we have to trust that if you're going to go to this firm, that the firm is going to do its job. But it's almost like, okay, we want to prove to the people out here that this firm is doing its job, as opposed to just letting the firm do the job.
The firm did the job. The firm got 45 candidates.
Yes.
And then narrowed it down
to five. Right.
So that's,
and we know 16, 8, like it's like Powerball numbers, right?
That's what it feels like. But I think this is exactly how you do a coaching search.
But does
I
it
wish
have
it would
to
happen
be this public, though?
I wish it would happen faster.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't have to be this public. But outside of the publicness, the public nature of it, this is how you do it. Blind resume. Don't tell me what the names are. I don't want to see what they look like. Give me what they've done. Show me what they've done, and then I'll make decisions. Because I do think that sometimes we have implicit bias, right? Like if I'm sitting on a coaching firm, or if I'm sitting in an athletic department, and I got to do a coaching search, and I see Fred McNair come across, you don't show me anything else. I'm just looking at everything else just because that's my guy right there. My guy is Fred McNair. If I see him come across, that's who I'm hiring, right? And I might be missing out on some other qualified candidates. Not saying Coach Fred McNair isn't qualified. He is. That's why I would just take him immediately.
Yeah.
But to get a better lay of the land, if he is the best qualified candidate, and I'm only using him as an example, if we make Fred McNair number 7 and then compare number 7 to number 9, his accolades and his resume will speak for itself, and he'll still be picked.
All right, so to that degree, what you're saying based on that, and I'm assuming here, you're assuming that the committee doesn't know who these numbers are. I'm assuming that they put the numbers on there so the public knows. Right, so the committee knows.
The committee knows, the school doesn't. The school doesn't.
But I mean, the committee is made up of people who are either boosters or affiliated with the school.
Let me take that back. The committee doesn't know. The search firm knows. The search firm knows the names. And
see, so that to me, that's where it becomes a problem, because now, all right, if I'm reading your resume and all of this, like, how much do I really know? Because sometimes resumes can look really, really good. Like, Hugh Jackson's resume will look really, really good.
Would it?
No, I'm just saying, in terms of NFL coaching experience, he's coached at all of these different levels, this and that. But
you'd also have the record on there as well.
Okay.
Hugh Jackson's record is like 26%. Like, he's well under 300 win percentage.
Kick Hugh Jackson.
I got you. I follow.
Adrian Griffin's resume will look really, really good.
Yes.
Right now, right? His winning percentage after just 43 games. What he's done. He just got his PhD in psychology or whatever he's doing. That looks good. But it's almost like, okay, tell me about analytics, but let me see the player. And I could tell you a little bit more about the player in clutch moments from the eye test. I get what they're doing. I just think it's overdone. Like, at a certain point, somebody has to – there's no scientific formula to finding the best candidate for a job. It's got to be more of a feel to it. And you could get both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. These things can be – they don't have to be mutually exclusive. But I just – to go back to my last point on this, well, I don't even say my last point because we might still have some more points.
We got many more points on this.
The issue is that, okay, you went to the extent of saying if we could throw the graphic up, cool. If we can't, I think I remember it. Okay, man, who's on the 1s and 2s down there?
Jacob's down there.
Okay, Jacob. All right, Jacob. 5 candidates remain. Those are the numbers, and then 4 of the candidates have won SWAC championships in their careers. 1 SWAC championships in their careers as a player, as an assistant, as a head coach.
Here we go.
So if you're going to tell me that, then give me the next layer. Are we talking about
I think it's as coaches, though.
As coaches, as head coaches, or as – so if that's the case, you're telling me 4 of those 5 candidates are former SWAC head coaches?
That's what I think it is.
But, who knows?
Well,
here's the other thing. Last thing, and I'll toss it back to you. You just joined the SWAC 2 years ago. What about those who applied who were from the MEAC? who had more to do with your success traditionally. So telling me that you have 4 SWAC, the SWAC is what you mentioned, with no mention of the conference that you've been in for the last 30 years. I'm kind of wondering, why wasn't someone from the MEAC who may have had more of a tradition with you in that mix? And that's not to say the other candidate isn't. And that's not to say one of the SWAC guys didn't also coach in the MEAC. So it's so much information or misleading information or information that makes you ask more questions than it provides answers for.
The search committee, not the firm, the committee had a list of things that they
probably preferred.
They wanted preferred.
Yeah.
On that list was SWAC championships. And I would assume because you're in the SWAC, you want somebody who has a familiarity with the conference. That is my assumption. That's why that was on there.
Which would have excluded Willie Simmons. Because when he got to you, he did. He was at Prairie View. Prairie View. So that does include him from that standpoint.
Let's talk about the two. First off, let's figure out. I really want to figure out who the other, because I know 2 of them. I got 2 of them.
Yeah, I got 2 of them. I wonder
what the other 3 are.
Uh-huh.
All right. Number 14 and 16, both the search firm and the committee recommended. 4 and 16.
Okay. 14 and 16?
14 and 16.
Uh-huh.
The other 3 were just search
one
firm,
or the other. Okay.
Or one or the other.
Right.
All right. Number 16.
So that would lead you to believe 14 and 16 are the inside favorites then.
That would be my guess.
Okay.
All right. Which one do you want to talk about first? 16 or 14?
Oh, you got it. Go ahead.
Number 14 is someone FAMU is familiar with, has a proven track record of running a program known for player development. Is that not Fred McNair?
I don't know I would need more information.
You would need more?
Because obviously they're familiar with, is FAMU familiar with because that person coached at FAMU? So to me, that means it's the in-house candidate.
Well, number 16 is an internal candidate.
Okay,
and 16 doesn't have a SWAC championship.
Okay, so that's one. So okay, so you got more information than what we had on the screen there.
Yeah.
Based on what you had. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't.
Well, you got to.
All of that won't fit. All of that won't fit on the screen.
Okay.
I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what the
this feels like a game of charades
from 14.
Man.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, this is absolutely what's the name?
Pictionary or whatever it is.
Is it Guess
man.
Who?
Guess Who?
Where you're trying to guess the people?
Yeah,
That's exactly what this is. Again, the caption for 14 that they shared with the public was someone FAMU is familiar with, has a proven track record of running a program, and known for player development. And I'm pretty sure 14 has a SWAC championship.
Okay,
16,
so you're thinking that's McNair.
I'm thinking that's McNair. 16, internal candidate, somebody that the search committee really, really loves and really wants.
Yep. So that's Roll.
That's Roll.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the 2 right there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you taking your points, Mike, if you had said at the start of this, hey, we got 2 candidates we're looking at, McNair and Roll, I think everybody will be fine.
I don't think so. I think they got to go blind to make you fall in love with McNair and Roll. Because if you knew who they were on the surface, you would be like, that's not and I hate to use the sexy term, but it's so much out there. Those are not the sexy hires. Those are not the breakthrough.
Sexy.
Roll has just been there.
There's no other reason to hire Roll outside of the sex appeal of him.
Well, he's been there because he's an internal candidate, which means
he's got the experience recruiting Florida. He's big time in Miami. So not only are you getting more of the Florida kids to come through out of high school, those kids are transferring back to Florida A&M because of his connections. Like, that's why they want him. That's why Willie Simmons had him on staff.
Which is why this should have been a no-brainer if that's the case. You have continuity coming back. Your main coach that you really that you said all of that about is still on staff. And why open it up to a national situation when you don't have to? If it's that much of a clear cut, hey, this is our guy, then somewhere along the lines, and I see right here is that the candidate 14. Okay, somebody, look, they got graphics just developing as we speak, right, in real time. I can't see that, though. You're a lot closer to the screen.
So it says the search firm, RSC, says that candidate 14 is someone the program is familiar with, has plenty of experience, a proven track record of running a program, and is known for its player development. 16 is an internal candidate, something, once again, suggested by some members of the committee as a preference.
Okay. So at that point, how many internal candidates? We know publicly there's an internal candidate.
Yeah.
So we pretty much know that one, right?
Yeah.
That's a given. Now, what are the other three? Do we have insight on the other three?
No.
Okay, so
it's just those two, because those two, to your point, feel like the front runners because they were recommended by both the search firm and the committee.
Yeah. That seems like, okay,
yes,
we need to take their names off of the list. I mean, like we need to redact their names so that we can sell you on their merits. Because if you just saw their names, you might feel a certain way.
Yes,
exactly. And that's the thing. So if you just saw their names, you're either going to be, hey, that's my guy, like you said about Fred McNair, or you're going to be like, I don't know if that's the case.
So if you are a booster or on the search committee and you see Billy Rowe's name come across the desk, that is my guy. I don't care what happens. I believe in Coach Rowe, and I think he could do some pretty special things at Florida A&M. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But that's my guy. I believe in him. Damn everybody else. I don't need to see nothing else. I've got my guy. And it shuts you off from looking at other candidates who may be better suited for the job. And that's why I am in favor of blind resumes up to a certain point,
right,
in the search. You get the name.
There is a such thing as confirmation bias. Yeah. And that's what you're saying. If you went into it saying McNair is my guy, or
Roll is my guy,
and then you go blind with with the names, and then you get back and you say, oh yeah, okay, that was my guy, so that's who I wanted anyway. What I think the problem in that, and we went on about it before, but the issue is also how objective is it when if we can throw back up the explainer of 14 and 16 again, right? Like, how can we say 14 or I think it was 14 was the player development, right?
Yes.
All coaches are player development. Like, who chooses what descriptors go into which candidates? So what I'm saying is that somebody had to make a decision on a search firm to say, okay, candidate 14 runs a program that's known for its development. That should be the case for every single one of the finalists.
But it might not be.
But if you're a head coach of a college team that's won a SWAC or in the SWAC, your job is to develop young men in play. So what I'm saying is that that's not a clear enough descriptor to differentiate somebody. You know what I mean? If you're saying, like, look, if you, Bennett, and Roser are all phenomenal producers, right? But if we say all three of you guys, or you're a phenomenal producer of morning shows specifically, right? And I mean, okay, so that probably eliminates Roser because this show is the afternoon. But if you're developing and you're doing similar roles, like, everybody's role as a producer is different, but there are some characteristics that overlap. And development of young men or development of program it's sort of a ubiquitous type statement, is what I'm saying. You know, I don't know, man. I think it's much ado about nothing. If you like these two guys, then do your best to sell your constituency on these two guys. I don't think the guy that I prefer for the job is either 14 or 16, though, having said that.
Okay. Is there a name that you would prefer?
I prefer Quinn Gray. I said it before. I said it before. I don't know if he applied. I don't know if he's interested in the job. I would think that he is. He played at Florida A&M. He played in the NFL. He knows about development. He's coached at bigger level schools in the FBS. He was an assistant on the staff here at University of Memphis. He's at Albany State now. He was on Florida A&M staff as a quarterbacks coach before. Doing some of those years. And I think because he has head coaching experience now, he's a guy that I think the fan base could get behind. You know what I mean? I really think Quinn Gray could do that. But he might not be but he doesn't qualify as I don't know if he's been in the SWAC. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's been in the SWAC.
That was my other question. Yeah. 14 be Quinn Gray.
Well, because I don't know if 14 in the SWAC though. Four of the five
have SWAC championships. Quinn
Gray's not.
16 is an internal candidate.
See, here's the thing. Quinn Gray was on Fred McNair's staff at Alcorn State.
Here we go. I like this.
So
we're gonna figure this out, Mike.
That's what I'm saying. So if Quinn Gray was a coordinator or position coach with Fred McNair, and they both won a SWAC championship, then does Quinn Gray get the distinction as won a SWAC championship?
I wonder. Mike, I really want to figure this out.
I'm telling you,
we
man.
could do another hour and a half trying to figure out the
yeah.
rest of these candidates, man.
Yeah.
Because it's not that many people who have won SWAC championships who are also interested in being head football coaches, right?
Well, when you said there was two that you knew for sure.
And now after talking to you, I only know one for sure.
So you're one.
And my one is Roll.
Okay, so I was thinking, when I just heard that on the surface, my two with Fred McNair and my guy that just got let go at Southern.
Dooley?
Vince Dooley.
Okay.
Vince Dooley. But Dooley didn't win a championship, though. No, he did. He won at Prairie View.
Did he win one or did he get to one? Now, don't worry. I'm looking all this stuff up right now.
And do we mean SWAC championships in terms of SWAC divisional championship? Or do we mean SWAC championship as
I think
straight up won the SWAC?
Straight up won the SWAC. That's
There
what
are not many guys that have done that then
Yeah.
recently.
Has Dooley? Eric
Yeah.
Dooley. I'm looking it up now, Mike,
No,
to
Prairie
see,
View-
because I don't think that they won. I think that they've gotten to one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never, because if you win the SWAC, you go to Celebration Bowl. He hadn't been to a Celebration Bowl.
Right.
But
So-
he did win. He tied for first in the West in 2021 with Prairie View and in 22 with
So
Southern.
here's the other
Coach
thing.
Dooley.
Here's the other thing. Are we talking about SWAC regular season championships, or are we talking about SWAC?
I think SWAC championships. That's I'm trusting that that's what they mean.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it can be like you can. I'm being facetious to a certain extent, but you can color this any way you want and keep it as anonymous as possible, but still being truthful to a certain extent. So, at a certain point, man, I guess we'll see. We need another round of clues next week.
I love this. Don't name the head coach. Like, have the head coach have the players know. Don't let anybody see who the head coach is.
Yeah.
And just have the head coach in a mask until we figure out who it is. And just each week you drop a few more clues. Have some notable players show up. Have some notable assistant coaches show up. Like notable family members even show up.
Yeah.
That's a game show now where family members are out there singing on the stage, and you have to guess which celebrity they're related to.
The Masked Singer.
No, that's different. Masked Singer, they're just in masks.
Okay.
But yes, I like that also.
Yeah.
Have football coaches coaching those goofy ass uniforms that the Masked Singers wear. Yes, please do. Before we get off of this topic, 12 coaching openings during at the end of the 2023 season, going into the 2024 football season. St. Augustine, Southern, Grambling, Morehouse, Texas Southern, Alcorn State, South Carolina State, Lincoln, Benedict, FAM, Clark Atlanta, Allen. Who did it the best, and why was it South Carolina State?
Oh, well, because they got the winningest guy in Coach Chinnis Berry.
And it was quick.
It was quick. It was relatively quick. Yeah, he knew it was a good fit. He doesn't have to, I'm sure he's getting a bigger check. So he doesn't have to move, though, unless he wants to move to a bigger house or whatever. That makes sense. He's a defensive-minded, rah-rah guy. He's going to inject some energy in that program. And it was, again, South Carolina State didn't have to go through a whole big old search committee.
Everybody fell in line.
Everybody did.
Because that was clearly the guy.
They identified.
That was clearly the guy. The administration identified it.
Yeah.
The boosters identified it. The fans identified it. Media members identified it. Boom. It was just that simple. Just don't mess it up if you're South Carolina State.
Grambling did the same thing. They went right after Joseph. And they knew that that's who they wanted. They knew that he had a little bit of a blemish on his resume that they were willing to get through and do it that way. Southern kind of did it the way they wanted to do it.
Yep.
So a lot of these schools were deliberate in terms of how they made the hires. But it just seemed like Texas Southern and FAMU were going about it by trying to please too many people. There's too many people involved, and these are two of the bigger programs too. Texas Southern, big-time city in Houston, so many powerful people, so many alumni, so many people who have influence are helping to make this decision. Same thing at FAMU. It's such a political campus where there's so many people involved in it, and you're trying to keep too many people happy when these kind of moves are made. So, again, the other difference is Texas Southern, you fired the guy, you knew you wanted to get rid of him, and then it got sloppy.
Yeah.
FAMU, it was a last-minute kind of thing, and now you're saying, okay, let's make the best out of this situation as we can. One of them is a defending champion. One of them is trying to get relevant. We'll see where it goes for FAMU from here.
We got more coaching news to discuss. Not Texas Southern. Tennessee State gets a new offensive coordinator. Third offensive coordinator in 3 years for Coach Eddie George, and I like this hire. Tyler Rowe from North Dakota State. North Dakota State, there he is right there. North Dakota State, one of the FCS powers in the sport His offense, he's been there 5 years, and in those 5 years, he's won 2 national championships as offensive coordinator calling the plays. He's been to a total of 3 national championships in that span. Last year alone, his offense was 9th in total offense and 4th in rushing. By comparison, Tennessee State's offense was 97th in total offense, 107th in rushing. North Dakota State averaged about 130 more total yards than Tennessee State and about 80 more yards on the ground than Tennessee State. What does this type of hire say to you as it pertains to the type of program Coach Eddie George is trying to build or continuing to build up in Nashville?
I'm happy that Eddie George widened the net, you know what I mean? And this seems like it's a slam dunk, no-brainer type hire, right? Now, when you get into the social ramifications, you're a historically black college, but you're playing in a mainstream, FCS conference. This is a white family, a white coordinator coming into a HBCU. Could there have been other African-American candidates deserving of that position? Well, Eddie George has had so many coordinators, so I'm sure that at a certain point you want to get the best that you can find regardless, or I don't want to say regardless, but you just want to get the best you can find. And this kind of hire strikes me as one where this guy is going to bring a system that is going to be successful, and that system will translate to the Big South Ohio Valley Conference because that's the way they play in that conference, right? He's not an air raid guy, right? They play ball control. They're in harsh climates, even though I believe North Dakota State has a dome that they play in. But they're playing up against teams like the Montanas and all of those teams in that cold weather, so they have to be ground and pound. And Tennessee State wants to be physical. Eddie George is he was a physical running back. And if you can get a surefire running game going, he feels like everything else will open up. So I like that. I like that hire, and I think they're taking it seriously. And I'm sure it took a lot of investment for Tennessee State to be able to pay this man to come from a championship successful program to Tennessee State to be a coordinator.
And listen, he's not coming if Eddie George isn't the coach. I think I've said it on this show before, one of the toughest things to do as a head football coach is replace assistants and get good assistant coaches, good coordinators, good position coaches in there because everybody's leaving. If you're good, they're leaving. If you're bad, they're leaving.
Yeah.
For different reasons, but they're leaving.
Absolutely.
And you need to get good ones in. The reach and the pull that Eddie George has, I feel like, got flexed in this moment because there's no reason to go from what North Dakota State is to what Tennessee State is. And that's not – I'm not trying to be disrespectful or minimalize the year that Tennessee State had last year. That was a major step forward for them, but they hadn't been to a playoff in how many years?
Yeah.
North Dakota State is trying to get to championship games, going to semifinals. Tennessee State is fighting to get into the playoffs. Right? Like there's a difference there, and he convinced him, Roll, to come through. Yeah. I look forward to seeing what this offense looks like. One of the main complaints I've had, and I think you shared that, I want to speak for you, Mike, about Tennessee State under Coach Eddie George is, hey, what's going on with this offense?
Yep.
What can we do?
Because the defense is there.
The defense is there.
Set. Yeah.
I don't know if you heard of a guy by the name of Allen last name.
Yep.
He's doing pretty spectacular things on the defensive side of the ball for Tennessee State.
Yeah.
He's winning all types of awards. So he's there. Offensively, they need a lot of help if they're going to be in contention for the Big South OVC championship and a playoff berth and a playoff run. I look forward to seeing what happens at Tennessee State with new offensive coordinator and Coach Eddie George. We went way too long on the Florida A&M talk, and I still do not know who the hell numbers 14 and 16 are. We will talk more because I want to get your thoughts on Hugh Jackson, Morehouse. We'll also get to my pick 6 and our culture maker, plus so much more next up on the other side on HBCU Huddle in the Built for Tough studios on Grind City Media.
G.G. Jackson's got all the tools, got the length, got the size, got the build, and he's just 19. He hasn't even gotten his man muscles yet.
G.G. Jackson can get what he wants, right?
When he wants it.
When he wants it.
He seems to be the quintessential prospect for that small forward position.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
You know, it's always great playing here. Whenever I did play here, coming back, it was one of the reasons why I chose to come back here.
Yes, and Rose sniping the steal, goes up against Murray and scores.
I love the atmosphere. I love the arena.
Fast break basketball. Roddy launches it! The next Swarm is rocking.
I want to be a part of it, so that's one of the reasons why I came.
Last thing we're going to talk about is a pair of really ugly shoes that these guys sent me. Get these out of my face. Sherman loves them.
These are hideous.
So 2024, I'm positive poly. I don't know if you know.
Okay. Positive poly.
You can wear these in the ocean.
I can now. That's not a. I can see what you. I see where you're going with that. Now look at this picture. You see what's in the background? Rocks, right? So I can see where you're going with that.
The Sneak Fest Show live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
In the movie, you talked about how you love to feel the baseball. And so you put on a brown paper sack.
That's right.
Over your hand, and you're throwing a racquetball against the wall and catching it in the brown paper sack.
That was the first thing that, as close as I could come to for a real glove.
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back, everybody. HBCU Huddle, built for Tough Studios, is where we reside physically. And if you're watching us, if you're listening to us, we're on GCM, baby. YouTube, GCM. Search us and subscribe. Please subscribe. Mike, a couple of things to get to before we talk about the SWAC football schedule. Hugh Jackson and Morehouse flirting with one another. I've been so scarred by the McNair stuff that I don't want to say anything is happening. I don't want to say anything is likely to happen because that seemed like it was done. All they need to do was sign on the dotted line. And somebody took the pen, somebody took the contract and ran in different directions. And now Texas Southern's got a different coach and Fred McNair's out of a job. But the reports are Hugh Jackson and Morehouse are in talks to make Hugh Jackson the next Morehouse head coach. Morehouse is coming off a back-to-back 1-9 seasons. They're on their third coach in 3 years. Why is Morehouse doing this? Best guess, it seems like a university ready to make football a priority. Is this a misstep? What's going on here?
I would flip the question and I would say, why is Hugh Jackson doing this? And has his career gotten to a point where I got to take this job? And, the last guy that left Morehouse was saying, I was told one thing about facilities and support and resources, and when I got here, they didn't follow through. Like, this wasn't what I bargained for. Now granted, we didn't have the infrastructure to make sure the kids was doing what they needed to do academically. The training staff wasn't where it needed to be. So all of the things that you hear traditionally about some of the lesser or lower funded HBCU football programs reared itself at Morehouse. And Hugh Jackson just 3 years ago was in demand as a college coach when he wanted to come down. He did the year with Eddie George at Tennessee State as an offensive coordinator, which was the position that just got replaced. Had barely a 2 year stint at Grambling, and now you got to go even a step down to Division II now. Jobs are, I guess, hard to come by, man. And I don't know if that's a job that is a no-brainer for me that I would be willing to take if I'm Hugh Jackson and I have any other options. But it is what it is. That's his resume we're looking at right now when you talk about all the NFL experience. But it seems like the further he gets away from that, the more you forget that he did that much stuff in the NFL. Morehouse, if you can get a name like Hugh Jackson, then yeah, it'll register. You're in Atlanta. You're trying to make a couple headlines and get a spark for a program that's been awful the last few years. I just don't see why Hugh Jackson would need to take that position at this point. But maybe the landscape is different than what I imagine it would be for a guy like that.
You think he wants it? Because that's what I think. Because he's got NFL experience and he's still known and believed to be a really good quarterback's coach. If his desire is to get back to that level,
you would think
it would be better for him to be in the NFL. And there are teams right now thirsty for a quarterback coach that I think would hire him. I think he wants to be here.
I think
he does.
I think if he wants to be there, then there's no reason for them to be flirting. It's, hey, here's what we have. You're our guy. So I think it's, okay, I see what you have offering. I see what you're offering me. That's not necessarily what I would necessarily go take a job for, salary-wise. So maybe you can try to increase this a little bit, talk to who you got to talk to try to get this up a little bit. And while you're doing that, let me see what happens on Harbaugh's staff. Let me see what happens at, this school. Or there's still some NFL jobs that are going to be moving and shaking. Who's going to need staffers for some of these positions that haven't been filled yet, especially in the NFL. So I don't think he has to rush into taking the Morehouse job, even though Morehouse may want him to make a decision. So I do think it's a little bit of a cat and mouse game there. I just don't think that this is a no-brainer job that he would have to take. But if he does, hopefully there's success there. I would love to see Morehouse do well in football. It's one of the most tradition-rich programs as an academic university, and they've fallen off the wayside from athletics, especially in football.
I don't think they care about athletics. I think that's
another reason why I'm saying, why would Hugh Jackson back his way in there?
That's why this is weird to me on Morehouse's end. Morehouse is, I tell people when we just talking and Morehouse comes up sometimes, like it's one of the crown jewels in the crown of HBCUs, right? Like, that's the maroon stone. That's Morehouse right there, right? Like if I name,
you're a Morehouse man.
Samuel
Jackson, Spike Lee,
name me 3 HBCUs, most people Morehouse would come up in there. And they take pride in that. They take pride in the academics. They take pride in the cultural relevance and significance of that university. To me, this isn't just a Tuskegee coming out. It doesn't feel like they take pride in the athletic department. It doesn't feel like they take that type of pride in the football program specifically, because that's what we are talking about.
Right.
Hiring Hugh Jackson feels to me like a step in that direction, and I'm wondering,
can they hire him?
Why?
Though? That's the thing.
If he wants it, there's nothing Morehouse can do financially.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It is. If he wants it, he'll go. They can't sweeten that pot.
Which goes back to there's a number, there's an offer, and the reason why this is a flirtation instead of a press conference announcing the hire is because Hugh doesn't have to rush into that. It's almost like, I know I have this. Like I know I have peanut butter in the pantry, right?
Right.
But if I'm hungry, what else do I have in the fridge? What's in the box? What's here? What's over there? What's in the cabinets? I know if all else fails, I got a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Right. I know that. I'm gonna eat, right? I'm gonna get nourished. But can I scrabble do I have some ramen noodles over here? You know what I'm saying? Right. Do I have a can of tuna left? Like you're trying to figure out what can I scramble together that will convince me not to take this job. And I think that might be closer to what the reality is. Again, we recklessly speculate on this show because I've learned that from you.
I love it.
And now that's what I'm doing here. But I'm just trying to put together things that make sense, and that would make sense to me.
For me, the thing that makes the most sense is he hadn't been really successful either as a head coach. You're talking about somebody 8-14 in his stint at Grambling State, leading to them to want to move on from him. I think he's got a win percentage of like 260 all time
in the NFL,
in both. Everywhere he's been as a head coach, NFL and college, 19-58 record overall as a head coach. And so my thought would be, but is he good enough? Does he have it in him to help us win games at Morehouse? And now I don't know what the expectations are for a football coach. And whenever you hire one of these types of guys, the expectation is they bring in, because they're such a name, there's so much energy behind them, they bring in more donations and revenue and things of that nature for you to upgrade the facilities. Can he do that also? And maybe he can at Morehouse. I don't know what their facility needs are, but I just got questions on him particularly. Never mind the missteps off of the field, the G's off helmets, the Art Browse thing, et cetera, et cetera. It's his performance on the field, and you're hiring a name to help you raise funds for your football program and by extension your athletic department. Can he do that? That is where I have questions. I hope that that it works out. I hope he does go there, and I hope he has success against everybody but Tuskegee, because I want to see what a good dominant Morehouse football program looks like for that university. I think it could do their athletic department a world of good. I think the reports were about 33,000 people at homecoming at Morehouse's homecoming. And I mean, you've heard this before. It's crowded outside. It's empty inside. 33,000 outside, about 3 inside.
Inside, yeah.
So I do hope that this works out for them. He is their guy, and that there's some success there as well. All right, Mike, pick 6 time. Did we do all the coaching stuff? Let me check the notes here. Yeah, we did all the coaching stuff. All right, pick 6 time. Most intriguing SWAC games of 2024. The SWAC announced their conference schedule this week. The dates. I think we knew who the teams were going to be, who were going to play one another, but they announced the dates of it. We thought it would be a good time to share with you guys preseason-wise, and preseason being January for things that are happening in October, November. But in January, I'm sharing with you some of my favorite SWAC conference games. Do I say SWAC conference games?
They are.
Okay, but it's a Southwest Athletic Conference, so a Southwest Athletic Conference games. I don't know how the hell to say that. But I'm sharing with you the SWAC on SWAC.
There you go.
That's what it is. SWAC on SWAC. Let's get things started with, I think we got October 19th. Perfect. FAMU versus JSU. I'm sad that it's October 19th. I love when teams start off the year playing for something week 1. I wish this was still Orange Blossom Classic. That's what we miss, Mike. The Orange Blossom. Take that down real quick, Jacob.
No, we can leave it there. We can leave it up. We can talk through it. That's been the Orange Blossom Classic the last 3 years. Orange Blossom Classic's got 2 new teams, Alabama State and North Carolina Central. What are your thoughts? I think that they would have preferred to have a Florida team involved. So if you can't get FAMU, you got to go try to get Bethune-Cookman and match them up with somebody that's going to be a traveling team. Bethune-Cookman Southern, Bethune-Cookman Alabama State, somebody that's going to bring some fans.
Is Bethune-Cookman going to bring fans?
They won't, but they're at least a Florida school. Gotcha. Right? And they're going to want to recruit the Miami area. And that game will mean something to Bethune-Cookman grads who are from South Florida. So they would bring that element. But I also understand FAMU and Jackson State don't need to go play a neutral site game anymore because both of those schools can get 30 to 60,000 people on their own campus. So to switch back to that, so North Carolina Central will be playing
Alabama State.
North Carolina Central isn't a big traveling. They're not a massive traveling school. Alabama State has the potential to be. So I would expect this to be a game where you have 2 current teams that are trying to play for championships. Is going to be an intriguing game. If that's what your fallback opportunity is, so be it. We'll see where that game goes from here. But to pivot back to this real quick is that I like that game right there, and that's at Jackson State, so it's going to be on campus.
I believe so.
Your first one, man, that's a banger. So you got you got basically the de facto East Conference SWAC East potential championship game on October 19th after we see how things line up the first month of the season.
Give me November 23rd, second game. November 23rd, Jackson State versus Alcorn State. It's always fun watching the Soul Bowl. Again, start the season with something, end the season with something. I love when teams do that. Alcorn State looking for their first win in the Soul Bowl in quite some time without Fred McNair on the sideline.
Fred McNair. Yeah, that's going to be a different look.
That's going to be interesting. I wonder what the season will look like for Coach Cedric Thomas in Alcorn State when it's all said and done. Jackson State, TC Taylor has got to be looking around like, yo, this is me. This is me right here. This is my division. These are my rivals. This is mine right now.
I was just about to say, if that game right there on November 23rd isn't a coronation for a SWAC East championship and a pathway to the SWAC championship game overall, something's gone wrong in Jackson State.
October 26th, Alabama State and Alabama A&M play one another. One of my favorite rivalries in the SWAC Magic City Classic. 2 coaches who also should be looking around like, yo, this is me. This is me right here. This mine. And they'll play late October, and things will be shaping up clearer. We'll begin to get clearer pictures of who is and who isn't. And if one of these 2 isn't, if one of these 2 teams finds themselves after this game, after losing this game, potentially, finds themselves completely out of the SWAC East race, completely out of the SWAC championship race, completely out of the Celebration Bowl mix, I could see somebody getting let go after this. Or an announcement coming out, hey, this coach, Coach Maynard or Coach Robinson, they're going to finish out the year. They just won't come back next year. Like this has that type of feel to me.
It especially if Alabama State beats Alabama A&M. I think Maynard is closer to that reality more so than Coach Robinson. But yeah, it's we said it. That's the put up or shut up bowl right there. That's the put up or shut up bowl right there in Birmingham.
And that's right there, middle of the season.
That is. Yep.
So we saw that happen towards the end of the season, and after the season, right? Grambling State ended up losing their last game of the year to Southern.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we got to make a change here because we're completely out of it, and we've lost to a rival.
And that changed the trajectory of both head coaches. The Grambling coach got fired, and the Southern coach kept the job.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. November 30th, speaking of Grambling State and Southern, Mike, I don't know if you saw this one coming. Put that on there. 2 new head coaches looking for an exclamation mark to end their season. I don't know what our fair expectations are for both of these programs coming into 2024. I certainly don't know right now. In January, I think we can get a better feel for it the closer we get to the season. But I do know, even if it is, hey, we're fighting for a winning record, even if it's something like that, winning this game changes how your fan base and how we view you. Because it is, oh, man, Grambling State, they ended up losing that game. So Grambling State now, I don't know what they're doing, this, that, and the third, a lot of negativity.
Yeah.
Grambling State wins that game and is, hey, I know there were rough parts and patches of the season.
Yep.
But they did get that win. They did get that win. They ended the season strong, beating their biggest rival in Southern. Like that's one of those types of things. It's a feel-good game. Somebody's going to leave and feel really, really good about the direction of their program for the 2025 offseason. Somebody else is going to feel like, hey, did we hire the right guy? They're going to start second-guessing themselves.
Yep. First-year coaches in both of those situations right there. So that is going to be a trajectory-defining game right there because you're going to end the season going into, as you said, CJ, so eloquently, the fact that the winner of that game is going to give themselves a nice momentum boost going into the offseason and in year 2. You're going to feel like I'm building a program now coming out of that game, or you're going to feel like, man, this is tougher here than I thought. I inherited a bad situation, and it's going to take some time to clean this up. So the Bayou Classic is going to have some. It's going to reverberate for months beyond that game right there on November 30th.
Southern has won the last 2 Bayou Classics in a row.
Yep.
September 28th, Alabama A&M takes on Florida A&M. I think right here we'll begin to figure out what's going on with Coach Maynard. This is right here. This is you pit up or shut up, right?
That's the opportunity.
That's the opportunity right
that's
there.
The opportunity. And it also depends on who gets that FAMU job, right? From that standpoint, because it can also be
keep the players currently on roster with the right coaching hire.
Yeah.
If not, can you bring in players? We saw Coach T.C. Taylor, speaking of Jackson State, have a pretty good season. I do believe 7 wins, 8 wins, 7 wins, I think.
7-4, something like that, yeah.
60 new players, 63 new players.
Yeah.
Completely new players, transfers, freshmen, those types of things. Yes, Mike, to your point, you're correct. So
it's and that's September 28th, so that's 4 weeks into the season, somewhere around there.
I think we will just finish buy games and get that money.
So you got to look at FAMU because they're going to have to reload offensively no matter what. And this is going to be one where, depending on who has that job, that's going to be an opportunity game right there at home.
All right, my last game on this list is August 31st. My last game is the first game of the season for these 2 teams. Prairie View A&M doing a Daytona 500 style. Prairie View A&M, Texas Southern. I love when the first game of the year is against a big-time rival. Also, we had all of this coaching news coming out of Texas Southern. They end up making the decision right here, no matter what happens.
Yep.
No matter what happens.
It's game 1.
Game 1, it doesn't feel like everybody's behind the coaching hire. Game
Chris
1.
Dishman,
Game 1, win. Hey, we told you we should have hired Dishman. Lose. Hey, what are y'all doing here? He comes into the season, I feel like, on the hot seat because there's so many different factions at Texas Southern that went into that decision.
Yeah.
So that's my pick 6.
Well, you're also going – let me add one quick thing to that. You're also going into the first game of the season playing the defending division champ, too.
Oh, yep.
So
that's why Prairie View A&M was on.
Prairie View was at the top of your division, and now you're a first-year coach going in. If you knock off the team that won the division last year in your first game, then it's, no brainer. This is why we, you know what I'm saying? This is why we went through all this to get to this coach. And if you lose it, then, then Prairie View could say, you know what? Hey, we still run Texas right now.
Yeah.
This is still our state. And, hey, let's pick up where we left off and let's run the table now from here.
Texas Southern wins. Coach Dishman, does he go full prime? Does he sit down at the podium? Do you believe now? Do you believe? Do you? All right, that's my pick 6. If you guys have other games that you think I might have missed out, again, this is just SWAC on SWAC. This isn't SWAC versus somebody else. It's just SWAC on SWAC.
Conference schedule.
Because there were some other games. I would have put the Orange Blossom Classic in there. I would have put the kickoff, the SWAC MEAC.
And we'll revisit it once those games are set. But this is just the SWAC released its conference schedule and the dates, and these are 6 that you don't want to miss. They're intriguing games. All 6 of those are intriguing.
Culture Maker time, Mike. Rhonda Stryker donated a whole lot of money to Spelman College. We were talking about Morehouse. Let's talk about Spelman. Now, keep it in the triangle. Before we get to her, let's show a video of Board Chair Lovett Russell making the announcement to the Spelman students.
Today, we are making history. Our long-serving board trustee, Rhonda Stryker, and her husband, William Johnson, have decided to donate to Spelman College $100 million.
Mike, look at that right there. Balloons going everywhere. Students cheering.
Right now.
She can't even talk. They don't let her talk. They're too excited. I love it. I love it. That's important. I do believe $75 million is going to their endowment, with $25 million going to general funds. The $100 million donation is the largest to Spelman College, largest donation in Spelman history, largest in HBCU history. She's a businesswoman. Miss Stryker is worth about $7.4 billion. Darnell it's a company out of Michigan. Everything in me. It's not Flint. It's not Ypsilanti. It might be Inkster. I can't remember where it is. Darnell, our social media guy, the guy in charge of social media, his wife works for that company.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we talked about that. Shout out to Miss Rhonda Stryker and her husband, William Johnson, on their donation to Spelman. When you see things like this, Mike, how does it make you feel?
Ooh, man. Just floored, you know what I mean? And these are the kind of donations that are needed, in so many of our institutions, right? Yeah. Spelman is an elite HBCU. Howard is an elite HBCU. Hampton can get that kind of money. And when you talk about $100 million, the fact that you can stroke a check for $100 million says a lot. You know what I'm saying? And then, when a couple years ago, another big time donation came in when the gentleman said, "Hey, I'm canceling everybody's debt at graduation. Like you walk across this stage, you don't owe anything." To do those kind of things changes it changes generationally how you look at your finances and getting off to a great start. So, man, I'm just floored. It feels great to know that people in this world will still commit that kind of money and resources. And I just want, on a smaller scale, some of our public universities, HBCUs, to get that same kind of, feel. Not everybody can get $100 million, but can you get $2 million to help here, $3 million to help there? Can you get $200,000 to go to this and go to that? So this spirit of giving has been going on for quite some time, and there's been an uptick in it ever since 2020, 2019. And I'm loving to see this continue to build and build and build every year.
This is coming on the heels of, I forget who gave to the United Negro College Fund. Somebody gave $100 million to UNCF to disperse to all HBCUs to help them with their endowment. And having an endowment is so very, very important. Having a healthy, large endowment is so important because you can live as the university off of the interest from that endowment. And it's great to see that Spelman's endowment is growing not some, not a little bit, but growing a whole hell of a lot.
That changed it.
Just one donation. So special thank you to Rhonda Stryker from the HBCU Huddle crew for that large donation. And people give to your HBCU alma mater, local HBCU. If you got it, just give what you can, man. I think they would very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
That does it for us today, Mike. Great show as always.
Absolutely.
That was fun. Spent a lot of time on Florida A&M. I'm going to sit down now and try and figure out the other
decode the other three candidates.
I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out.
Hopefully they have a coach name by the time we do this show again next week.
Hopefully they have a coach.
Yeah.
And don't release the name. Like the players know who the coach is. That's fine. The players know who the coach is.
Oh, it'll leak out then.
The athletic director knows who the coach is. Everybody's like, shh.
Yeah, right.
Wait till you see the giant hippopotamus on the sideline. You guys would never guess who this is. And then we have to figure out who it is based off of the system.
Wow.
I love puzzles like that. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I'm CJ. He's Mike. We'll talk to you next week.